On the news, Nigeria's COVID-19 cases hit 8,000 as death toll nears 250. WHO suspends hydroxychloroquine clinical trial over safety concerns. And Russia helicopter crash leaves 4 people dead. A warm welcome to News Now. I am Fidelia Aguncha. We begin in Anambra State, southeast Nigeria, which has announced its first COVID-19 related death after 10 confirmed cases. The deceased is a 66-year-old man. Governor Willie Obiano, who confirmed the news, said the victim did not report to the health authorities early enough. He, however, did not reveal if the man had any underlying illness. The governor also announced that 3 patients, including the index case, have recovered and have been discharged, meaning Anambra State now has only 6 active COVID-19 cases. And on the national level, Nigeria's COVID-19 toll has exceeded the 8,000 mark with the emergence of 229 fresh cases across 14 states. Data from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, shows that the country has so far recorded 8,068 positive COVID-19 cases. Investigation, however, shows that more than 3,000 of the new cases were recorded in the last 2 weeks. As of May 11, 2020, a total of 4,641 cases were confirmed positive out of the 28,418 samples tested. But by May 24th, a total of 7,839 COVID-19 cases were recorded out of 45,683 samples tested. The good news, however, is that the number of recoveries are also increasing, moving from 2,263 to more than 2,800. And it's still good news ahead as 12 more COVID-19 patients have recovered in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. This development was confirmed by the FCT Minister, Mohammed Bello, in a tweet published on Tuesday. According to Bello, the new recoveries brings the total number of discharged patients in the capital city to 145. Sadly, the FCT also recorded 14 new coronavirus infections, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 520. The capital city now has 368 active cases and 7 associated deaths. The Chief of Air Staff, Sadiq Abubakar, has announced that ventilators locally produced by the Nigeria Air Force are now ready for use and will soon be unveiled. The ventilators will be used in the treatment of COVID-19 and other respiratory-related diseases. Abubakar said the machines were jointly produced by the NAF engineers and experts from the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. He made this announcement while hosting a Sala luncheon for frontline troops of the NAF at the headquarters of Air Task Force Operation Lafia Adole in Maiduguri, Borno State capital. Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum, who was also at the event, appreciated the contributions and sacrifices of NAF in securing the territorial integrity of the country. Africa has the lowest diagnosed coronavirus cases, accounting for less than 1.5% of the global total and just 0.1% of deaths. But despite this, the World Health Organization has expressed worry that the continent could face a silent epidemic if its leaders fail to prioritize COVID-19 testing. WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus said this on Monday as the health agency focused on Africa's progress in the fight against COVID-19 to mark the World Africa Day.
For many years, and from the outset of this pandemic, WHO has been working throughout our country offices to support nations in health emergency preparedness and developing comprehensive national action plans to prevent, detect, and respond to the virus. With WHO support, many African countries have made good progress in preparedness. All countries in Africa now have a preparedness and response plan in place, compared with less than a dozen in the first few weeks of the pandemic. 48 countries in the region have a community engagement plan in place, compared with only 25 countries 10 weeks ago. And 51 have lab testing capacity for COVID-19, compared with 40 countries 10 weeks ago. WHO continues to support Africa with other life-saving supplies. And as of last week, we have shipped millions of personal protective equipment and lab tests to 52 African countries. In the coming weeks, we plan further shipment of PPE, oxygen concentrators, and lab tests. However, we still see gaps and vulnerabilities. Only 19% of countries in the region have an infection prevention and control program and standards for water sanitation and hygiene in health facilities. And disruption to essential health services, such as vaccination campaigns and care for malaria, HIV, and other diseases, pose a huge risk.
Meanwhile, the United Nations, UN, has warned that COVID-19 would amplify the risk of what was expected to be a record-breaking hot summer in the Northern Hemisphere. UN Weather Agency, the World Meteorological Organization, WMO, on Tuesday urged government to make plans to keep people safe during heat waves without spreading the novel coronavirus. WMO spokesperson Clara Kapp, at a virtual briefing in Geneva, said COVID-19 amplifies the health risk of hot weather for many people, and it complicates the task of managing it. India is currently experiencing a widespread heat wave, with temperatures reaching 47.5 degrees Celsius in the city of Churu in the northwestern Rajasthan states. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has been explaining why it's decided to temporarily suspend clinical trials on hydroxychloroquine as a potential treatment for COVID-19. At a press briefing in Geneva on Monday, the health body said it took the decision following the publication of a study that claimed that using the drug on COVID-19 patients could increase their likelihood of dying.
Now, when we saw the publication in The Lancet, while it's still an observational reporting of observational data, but from multiple registries and quite a large number, 96,000 patients, of whom about 14,000 or so had treatment with chloroquine with or without macrolide, or hydroxychloroquine with or without a macrolide. There was also a lot of questions coming from our own principal investigators in countries. And we knew that the regulatory agencies in many countries were also discussing these data. So the steering committee met over the weekend and decided that in the light of this uncertainty, that we should be proactive, err on the side of caution, and suspend enrollment temporarily into the hydroxychloroquine arm. And to answer your other question, we only have the hydroxychloroquine in this trial. We're not using chloroquine. The plan is now to look at data from the Solidarity trial. As the DG mentioned, we have about 3,500 patients randomized. Of course, not all of them have outcomes. We will also be writing to the principal investigators of all the other trials that are ongoing. We're aware of at least 7 other trials, including the UK's recovery trial, that are using hydroxychloroquine. And we will look at all the published evidence so far. We know there are very few and very small randomized trials, and that's why it's so important to continue to gather evidence on both the efficacy and the safety of hydroxychloroquine.
Saudi Arabia says it will end its nationwide coronavirus curfew from June 21st, except in the holy city of Mecca, after more than 2 months of stringent curbs. Prayers will also be allowed to resume in all mosques outside Mecca from May 31st, the Interior Ministry said in a series of measures announced on state media. Elsewhere in the Gulf, Kuwait and the Emirate of Dubai also moved to ease their lockdown measures, which together with a collapse in oil prices have pushed the region into its worst economic crisis in decades. The ministry said it will begin easing restrictions in a phased manner this week, with the curfew relaxed between 6 a.m. and 3 p.m. between Thursday and Saturday. Well, that's it on our COVID-19 coverage. We'll bring you more stories after this break. Don't go away.
last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other Paper Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Welcome back. 3 persons have died while 14 others sustained injuries in 2 separate accidents along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Clement Oladele, Sector Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps in Ogun State, explained that the first crash involved 2 vehicles, a DAF truck and a Mazda bus at about 6:35 a.m. before Isara Bridge near Ogiri. He said 3 out of the 20 people involved died, while 10 others sustained injuries. Oladele said the second accident happened at about 2:35 p.m. at AP Turning Lufakbe on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. He said 9 people, including 7 male adults and 2 female adults, were involved in the accident. No death was recorded, but the injured persons were rescued and taken to the Olabisi Onabanjo University Teaching Hospital, Shagamu, for intensive care. The FRSC boss also attributed the cause of the accident to wrongful overtaking and speeding. Well, a fire has broke out at the popular Ogbe Ogonogo market located in Asaba, the Delta State capital. Many of the traders who were able to salvage their goods from the fire, but properties and goods said to be worth millions of naira have been razed, though some of the traders have criticized the absence of the Delta State Fire Service. The Director General of the Delta State Capital Territory Development Agency was on ground to calm the aggrieved traders. The cause of the fire is yet to be ascertained, but a trader in the market blamed it on an electrical fault which sparked from a section where mobile phones and accessories were sold. The Imo State Police Command has arrested the ex-Director General of the Imo State Broadcasting Corporation, Theophilus Okere, for stabbing his wife to death. The Police State Public Relations Officer Orlando Ikoku, who confirmed this in Owerri, also said the murder occurred in their home in Ngokbala local government area in Imo State on Saturday. Investigations has commenced as the man is now in police custody. 82-year-old has given no motive for the stabbing, but neighbors speculate it could have been because of a marital misunderstanding. Ikoku confirmed that Okere's wife died on the way to the hospital, while the XG is now in police custody. All civil society organizations, lawyers, and other stakeholders have been urged to voice their contentions against the proposed Control of Infectious Diseases Bill 2020 at the upcoming public hearing of the House of Representatives. Founder of the Foundation for African Cultural Heritage, Achike Chude, made the appeal at a press briefing on Tuesday. Chude says the bill, which compromises human rights, can only be withdrawn with the collective voice of all Nigerians.
About 97% of the content of the bill was copied from Singapore, a near wholesome adoption of a foreign legal instrument, such as Singapore's infectious diseases law, without any serious attempt at domestication by our legislators, speaks volumes about the capacity of our lawmakers to commit themselves to serious legislative work. Even the Director General of the NCDC, Chikwe Ihikazu, the biggest beneficiary, or who is supposed to be the biggest beneficiary of the proposed draconian legislation, has repudiated the proposed bill, insisting that he was not consulted in drafting of the legislation.
In place of the proposed legislation, civil groups are recommending a strengthening of existing institutions and Nigeria's health sector.
Instead of bringing up new legislations or proposing new laws that tries to address outbreak of diseases, existing institutions should be strengthened. Our hospitals, the health sector, laws that governs health should be broadened to actually encompass or to actually cover some of these provisions that this bill tends to provide for. So our law should be broadened if the House believes that there are lacunas in our law. What we recommend is to actually broaden this law to accommodate other provisions. We also recommend that institutions, already established institutions, should be strengthened and their mandate, NCDC, we already have the NCDC. The mandate of the NCDC can be broadened to actually accommodate some of these provisions. And we do not need this kind of draconian law in our democratic society.
Muslims around the world marked Eid al-Fitr without the customary fanfare. This was due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has paralyzed religious gatherings across the country. In this report, we speak to Muslim clerics who explain the legality behind a recent directive from the Sultan asking Muslims to pray at home and avoid public gatherings to mark the Eid celebration.
After a 30-day-long fasting period, the Muslim faithfuls across the world traditionally come together in congregation to celebrate the Eid al-Fitr, also known as the Festival of Breaking the Fast. However, the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic has changed the style of celebration, forcing Muslims to pray at home with their family members. These, of course, have been met with various reactions.
We thank the Almighty Allah for a successful completion of the holy month of Ramadan, and also despite the unusual circumstances we found ourselves, and I wish Nigerian women could follow the rules and regulations of the Federal Ministry of Health and also the NCDC regulations. And for those that lost their lives as victims of COVID-19, may the Almighty Allah forgive their sins and grant them al-Jannatul Firdaus. And for those that are sick, we wish them speedy recovery, and also we pray for the end of COVID-19 throughout the world.
That is why the scientists, the professionals, those in charge of governance, those in charge of religious leadership had come together to advise, stay at home, stay safe. Those are the things you should do, and these are the things you should not do. And Yoruba has a word. The day to die is tomorrow. The day to enjoy is after tomorrow. We must sacrifice all it takes to ensure that we are safe today and we don't die tomorrow, so that we have opportunity to live beyond tomorrow and be able to do what is expected of us.
As it is, the experts are saying the pandemic is spread through physical contacts, coming together, congregating together. Then if that is the case, let that be suspended. More so again, that it's not only that the Eid al-Fitr is suspended, there are other compulsory prayers which upon men is compulsory upon them to congregate to observe it. But that has also been put on hold, like weekly Friday prayers. It's compulsory that you go to the mosque to listen to a sermon. But circumstances have set in that will not allow that to come up. All in the name of safeguarding the life of the followers. Therefore, this year's Eid al-Fitr, as the Sultan directed, and as majority of the scholars have agreed upon, observe it in your house. If you can't observe it in your house, just remain in your house.
Since the outbreak of the virus, activities like congregational Friday prayers, Ramadan programs have been altered, forcing many mosques to be locked. It may not have been the best of celebrations for Muslims this year, but many are hopeful that things will get better as they look forward to the celebration of Salah. Adeshawa Odushoga, TV360, Abuja.
Meanwhile, residents of Abuja stayed away from recreation centers on Tuesday despite the public holiday to mark the Eid al-Fitr celebration. The Millennium Park, which is the major recreation center in the FCT, was deserted as fun seekers obeyed the instruction from the Federal Capital Territory Administration to stay at home and celebrate. Tunjoyi has more.
This is the popular Millennium Park in Abuja, the recreation center where people gather during festive period. Last year, this place was filled to capacity during the Salah celebration. Today, it is absolutely empty, no thanks to the coronavirus pandemic. Though there are security personnel at the gates to prevent people from gathering, residents of Abuja are actually not willing to come here to celebrate.
I'm in the entertainment industry, so I would say it has really affected it has really affected us in a way, you know, when there's no social gathering, when there's no social gathering, so it will affect us. So I think that's just it. Now I even came here now, I said, okay, let me at least, you can see everywhere is locked.
All businesses around the park are shut, and the Millennium Park is now a shadow of itself. Though the lockdown in Abuja has been further eased with the opening of other markets besides the food market, residents of Abuja are fully complied with the directives of the FCT administration to celebrate the Salah at home to contain the spread of coronavirus. From Abuja, Tunji Oye, TV360 News.
We'll take a break here to bring you business stories. Don't go away. Welcome back. We'll now join Aneta Felix for the latest in business news. Hello, Aneta.
Hello, Fidelia.
So I hear there's been a drop in Nigeria's power generation capacity. Could you give us more details on this?
That's true. The number of power plants sitting idle in Nigeria increased by 3 on Monday to 10 on Tuesday, prompting generation to tumble below 3,000 megawatts. The Nigerian Electricity System Operator said total power generation in Nigeria fell to 2,626.9 megawatts as of 6 a.m. on Monday from 3,738 megawatts the previous day. According to data obtained from the company, the system operator showed that 22 power plants generated 3,862.8 megawatts as of 6 a.m. on Saturday, as 5 plants were idle. The shutdown of the power plants was attributed to gas constraints, low load demand by the distribution companies, maintenance, frequency response, and rupturing of gas pipeline. Some of the remaining 17 plants that were producing electricity as of 6 a.m. on Monday recorded significant declines in their output levels. Oil prices rose on Tuesday, supported by growing confidence that producers are following through on commitments to cut crude supplies, while fuel demand picks up with more cars back on the road as the coronavirus lockdowns ease. Brent crude futures were up nearly 1.4%, or 50 cents to $36.03 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures was up 2.6%, or 86 cents at $34.11 a barrel. There was no WTI settlement on Monday because of the U.S. Memorial Day holiday. The market was buoyed by comments from Russia that its oil output had dropped almost to its target of 8.5 million barrels per day for May and June under the supply cut deal agreed by major producers OPEC+. And that's the business updates from here, Fidelia.
Thank you very much, Aneta. Now to the foreign scene. A military helicopter has crashed at an airport in Russia's remote eastern Chukotka region, killing all 4 people on board on Tuesday. Governor Roman Kopin announced that there were 3 crew members and 1 technician on board, and all 4 of them died. Russian agencies reported that it was a M8 helicopter which was doing a test flight after undergoing technical maintenance. The Defense Ministry statement says the reason for the accident could be a technical fault with the helicopter, but military investigators have been dispatched to the crash site to investigate the root cause. And FIFA has suspended the president of Haiti's Football Federation for 90 days pending an investigation into allegations that he sexually abused teenage girls at the National Training Center. 73-year-old Yves Jean-Bart has denied accusation that he raped several young female footballers, but in a statement on Monday, FIFA's Investigatory Chamber of Independent Ethics Committee banned him in accordance with Article 84 and 85 of the FIFA Code of Ethics. The ban affects him on both national and international level for a period of 90 days. Haitian police has launched a probe into the allegations, and a judge has already summoned several Federation employees to answer questions regarding the matter. And that's it on News Now. Many thanks for joining us. I am Fidelia Agoncha. Bye for now.